a great and powerful Heather.
Okay, she was recorded, but we weren't live yet.
I'll just wait for the voice.
All right, now we're good to go. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Heather. Welcome to the March 2nd Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. It's 7 o'clock. We're going to get started with a pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
I was hoping we could have a moment of silence for the war in Ukraine.
Of course, that's a good request. With that, we'd like to take a moment of silence for the people that are affected in Ukraine. Thank you. Basic housekeeping items. Exits are on the side, as you can see. There's probably where you came in, either door behind us or straight across the way if there's any emergency. I'd like to also start out by taking a roll call. So with that, Bob Peckham, present. Beth Mossworth.
Here.
John Miglerini. Here. Christian Chamberlain.
Here.
Heather Robinson.
Here.
Tim Harrington.
Present.
Aaron Lehman.
Present.
Excellent. Everybody's here. Thank you. With that, I would like to ask for a motion for the minutes from February.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the meeting minutes from February 2nd to 2022.
A second.
Seconded by Beth. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Sustained by John. Thank you guys
Abstain.
for remembering.
Abstain.
Abstain, correct. Thank you, John. John abstains. And with that, the motion carries. Thank you. We have two applications today. When we call your number or your application, please stand up at the podium, state your name and address for the record, and speak loud and clear into the microphone so we can hear you and it's recorded for the record. Or the voice will yell at us. So with that, we can start with application 2022-01, James Treebole. And welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, James Tribble, 44 Hartwood Drive here in Rochester.
Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Yep.
Aaron, I'll let you start.
We spoke by email today.
We did. Thank you, Aaron. I got it this morning.
Yep, of course. I tried calling, but your voicemail was full and your email was just as good. So I'm just going to ask you a couple questions about your application, unless you would like to start off by any words about your application. I can go ahead with some questions.
No, I just answered the questions on the application and, was it Chris? Chris, I think, was who I ended up getting the application from over there at the office. And he had helped me kind of guide me through when I first picked it up and stuff. So, but thank you.
Yeah. So my first question is, I guess it's more of as a discussion. So you're buying a UTV that you want to store in the shed, right?
Yes, and it's a bit larger than what my current shed will handle, along with the snow blower and the lawnmower and those types of things. So yeah, it needs to be a little bit bigger.
Okay. Do you plan on running any electric or utilities to the shed?
I might. I haven't quite thought that out yet. But while I'm building it, that would be the time to do it, I guess.
And are you storing any, I'm assuming you'll be storing things like oil and gas in the shed as well, things like that?
Perhaps, because the lawnmower and the snow blower will be there, although I do keep most of the gas up in the garage. But I'm sure there'll be a little bit probably in the shed.
Do you think you'll have a trailer for the UTV?
I already have that.
Okay. And do you plan on keeping that in the driveway, or do you want to move that out to the shed area?
It's going to be on the north side of the house, kind of tucked away a little bit. It won't be out front. My wife has already told me it's not going to be out front. Which is fine because I didn't want to have it out front anyway.
Right. I will add that it's not noted in your application, and I'll have others correct me, but if you do wish to park the trailer away from outside the driveway, that would actually require a variance for that. Is that correct?
It depends. There's usually a requirement to put it on a pad or something, which could be rock or anything else of that nature, but not on the grass.
Yeah, actually, there's already some rock on that north side
Okay.
of the house. I had some mulch put in there and some rock because the grass doesn't grow there because it's on the north side of the house.
Okay.
So there's already some gravel there.
And I see you're going to put vinyl siding on it for this one?
I'm leaning towards that. I have thought about the current shed has, texture 111. So I'm leaning towards some siding, but it might be texture 111 as well, which is it painted white, which goes along with what the current shed is and our house is white
Right.
too. So.
Do you plan on, I think it says in your application, you plan on putting it in the same place, the same location? You're
Yep.
going to demo the existing shed and put the new one up? Would you be opposed if there was a condition on the variance to just place the proposed shed in the same location?
Say that again?
We can do that. We don't even have to ask them. We can
Okay.
just make that a thing if that's what we decide is right.
Okay.
I'm curious, how big is the current shed?
Current shed is, I think it's 10 by 12,
So 120.
124, 125 square feet.
And are you building the shed yourself? Or are you
Yeah,
buying
I'm going to
for-
build it with a few friends of mine. They're going to help me out.
Make a weekend out of it.
Maybe 2 weekends,
Two.
but if like depends on how my friends can come up and help me.
So one of the questions we like to ask is, do you anticipate this is gonna, this size, which is bigger than your current one, is gonna satisfy your needs into the future? It seems counterintuitive to us questioning why you want a shed that's so big, but is it sufficient or will you need to ask for more later?
No, it should be plenty sufficient. It should be, yeah.
Now for the doors, are you gonna have just, double doors or
Well, I've bought a plans, shed plans with the dimensions and how to build the trusses and all that stuff. It has these barn style open doors, which are kind of what my current shed has. However, I would love to be able to make this shed varmint proof. So I may do a regular garage door, not with an opener, but that's got the seals along the sides to try to keep mice out and stuff like that. So the main door may be a garage door, but it may be
okay,
I'm leaning towards the garage door if it's not too expensive.
yeah. Now, is it gonna be a single story or,
Oh, yeah.
okay, do you know roughly how tall it's gonna be?
I haven't got the plans yet in the mail, but I think the peak of the roof, if I recall, might be 11 feet.
Okay.
Pretty standard.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
What do you plan on building the shed on? A stone, or are you going to put like a concrete pad down?
I've got a friend of mine who's coming out hopefully this month to take a look and give me a quote for a concrete pad.
Okay.
Because of the side by side is heavy enough. I want it to be durable enough versus, even 3/4 inch plywood, trying to drive that up and out and stuff like that over time. I just would rather go with something more durable like concrete. So I'm leaning in that direction and I'm
Okay.
fingers crossed that's how it'll turn out.
Okay,
Any other questions?
I'm good.
Anyone else?
Don't know if it was already asked, but has do you plan on having electricity run out to the shed?
That was asked earlier.
I
I'm
apologize.
leaning in that direction just so that I might have a place to charge up my drill batteries and the side by side has a trickle charger. So I could, when like in the winter time, I can plug the side by side in and it won't, the battery won't go dead and stuff like that. So I'm leaning in that direction just so that since I'm building it, that'd be the perfect time to dig the ditch and
Mhm.
Mhm.
all that type of stuff. So.
Okay.
We good?
Yep.
Okay. Heather, I assume the answer is no. Are there any questions from the virtual audience, if there's any?
I have nothing.
Got it. Any questions from members of the audience? Nope. With that, we can close this application. And Aaron, it's your time to shine.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, with regard to application number ZBA 2022-001 for an area variance, I move to approve as follows. Whereas the zoning board has duly advised and held a public hearing, has considered all relevant information, and has considered the potential benefit to the applicant versus the potential deterrent to the neighborhood or community in relation to such variance. Now therefore be it resolved that the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings of fact. The variance will not result in an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or deterrent to nearby properties. The property has an existing shed in location of the proposed shed. The proposed shed is only slightly larger with an additional 14 square feet. Adjacent properties have similar style sheds. The proposed shed includes improved siding material with current shed, while the current shed is painted. The owner will have more lawn care and recreational, or I'm sorry, the variance cannot be achieved by some other feasible alternative. The owner will have more lawn care and recreational equipment than can be stored in the shed that is allowed by zoning. Alternatives would require to store the equipment off the property or in another shed. The variance requested is not substantial. The requested additional 14 square feet for the shed is not significant in the relationship to the property, existing structures, and neighboring properties. The variance will not have a negative effect on physical or environmental conditions. No impacts are foreseen on stormwater or other environmental conditions. The difficulty to the variance was self-created. The owner intends to acquire more equipment than can be currently stored in the existing shed. And be it further resolved that based upon the above findings, the zoning board of appeals hereby approve the variance as presented. And be it further resolved that the approval shall be subject to the following conditions. The shed shall be constructed at the proposed location of where the existing shed currently resides.
I'll second.
Seconded by Heather. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And you'll still have to finish the application process and everything, but you're good to go.
Yes, Chris helped me and already gave me the building permit stuff. And so that was-
Perfect. Have a nice day and thank you for coming in. And now we have application 2022-002 for Lake Beverage Corporation. Welcome.
Hello, thank you. Woo,
Oh,
I got
that's
shocked.
shocking.
very shocking.
Please, as we stated before, state your name,
Yes.
address, and speak clearly.
Okay, Jackie Cerisi, owner of Image 360, representing Lake Beverage. Do you want their address or my address?
You, ma'am.
Okay, 1128 Lexington Avenue, Rochester 14606.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. I spoke with Tim earlier today, and I think unless I think I presented pretty much what we were looking to do. Do you want to ask questions first or?
Yeah, let me ask you a question. So we summarized, we've got an industrial area, we've got illuminated sign. Will it be illuminated 24/7? And what is the background and why the customer thinks they need to have this sign in this place?
Okay, so the current sign that they have, and I submitted two documents. One has kind of an overhead shot. Their current sign is on the northwest portion of the building, which actually kind of faces more towards Bailey than it really does towards John. And their reasoning behind, and also that sign is not lighted. That is just acrylic letters.
Yes.
There is no lighting on that. Since the John Street extension was finished a few years ago, their trucks are coming from Lehigh up John Street as opposed to across Bailey and down. So that being said, you'll see the little map with the green. They want the trucks to come in from that direction, but typically they're not really seeing the sign until they get to the second drive. Their concern is that those trucks now are coming back through the front parking lot during the day that can be a hindrance. And in the evenings, that's just a lot of wear and tear on that area. So the idea is to have that lighted symbol, just that portion of their logo on the front facade there, which does face a little bit more to the south. And that would be the indication to have those drivers come in and pull over to the trucking area that I've indicated on the map. So, and the reason they would like this one lighted, as I mentioned, is the trucks do come in at night for deliveries. And so that was the intention.
And so, thank you for that. So that explains the logic behind it. So this specific soffit, I think it was referred to in the application, as opposed to any one of the other planes, is this the most appropriate plane on the building to direct towards that intent?
Yes, we believe so, because if it was on the farthest south of the building, you probably couldn't see it behind the tree line. And so this gives that just enough angle as they're coming down John Street that they would be able to see that hopefully and make that first turn.
So.
And it's over the front doors, which would also aesthetically look better as well.
That I agree with. We had a little bit of debate here about if it's going to be visible from the road at all with the trees in place. I'm sorry, the leaves on the trees.
Right.
And that there's also a sign out front, a pole sign or monument sign, whatever you want to call that.
Yeah.
Is this the best place for the sign to do that? No, aesthetically, I do agree. I don't disagree with that at all. But I'm curious if their main goal is for truck traffic, would it be smarter to ask you to recommend one out on the corner by the entrance?
I mean, I think that's one of the goals. I don't think it's the only goal. I think the other part obviously is to have that front entrance be marked and clear.
Yep.
Since the actual sign is off to the left of that. So I think it's a dual reasoning. And I guess I think they were trying to stay away from taking down that other sign and moving it or asking for two on the road. I think they were trying to go for the simplest, easiest solution as far as they could see.
Okay. And I do agree aesthetically, I think that's a nice
Yeah.
spot for it, but.
Yeah, and the front sign is not lighted at all. So there is just that one simple little post and panel on the north entrance. But typically, I believe the office people are kind of using that one to come in.
Which makes sense, looking at the flow. And going back to my prior question, since obviously we can't drive by there with foliage because it's Rochester in March, do you anticipate that will be blocking the sign?
No, I think it's high enough. When we started this, it was actually August. And I, got the feel for it at that time. And I think it's a high enough level and the light itself will kind of draw the eye and then they'll be able to recognize the symbol. And that's kind of what their goal was, just to go with the symbol. So they didn't have to read a whole thing and try to see what it was.
So just see beer.
Yeah, exactly. Then they know they're in the right place because I'm assuming that's what they're delivering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's my questions.
Any plans on lighting the sign that's there now? The acrylic sign that's there now?
We couldn't light that. Well, I shouldn't say we couldn't. It couldn't be lit as well. You can only light it from the ground up. It's not a style that you could add lighting to the back.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that was kind of the thought process of that as well.
Okay.
And there's sort of light on it anyways. Like I'm looking at the picture. It's sort of.
There's some from the road. I think it's getting
road
from the actual building itself.
Yeah, maybe. All right. Any other questions?
Has there been any sort of a cost benefit or a cost analysis about taking down the existing sign so that you can just use the one variance allowed for the center sign? Was there an actual determine how much it would cost for them to take that existing sign down, given that it's not as visible as it needs to be?
Yeah, I think the problem with that is that we would have to then present a completely different sign because then it wouldn't say Lake Beverage anywhere on the building. It would just be that. So taking that down probably wouldn't be that expensive, but making a whole new sign either all lit or partially lit on that front facade, I would definitely be more expensive. I don't have the detailed numbers for you, but it would definitely be more.
Thank you. And also for the record, I want to state that Heather has to abstain from this one because of some personal interaction with Lake Beverage. So that is why she's not sitting here. With that, I think we can close this application. Mr. Harrington.
Mr. Chairman, with regard to application.
Oh, wait, I didn't ask for questions from the audience. Heather, I still assume nobody's out there on the virtual audience, correct?
I do have one comment, but it's not regarding this application, so I'll hold off until after the resolution's read.
Okay, and I assume no other questions from, you sure, Millie? Okay, so now I'm sorry, Tim, please proceed.
Mr. Chairman, with regard to application number ZBA 2022-002 for an area variance, I move to approve as follows. Whereas the zoning board has duly advertised and held a public hearing, 2, has considered all relevant information, and 3, has considered the potential benefit to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood or community in relation to such variances. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings of fact. 1, the variance will not result in an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. The neighborhood in this case is industrial. Buildings are large and often hard to identify. This will not create an undesirable change. It will be illuminated at night because deliveries happen into the evenings. 2, the variance cannot be achieved by some other feasible alternative. Increasing awareness by adding a simple logo in a direction that is seen by traffic will accomplish the objective. Trucks are now approaching from the south, often missing the current northwest signage. 3, the variance requested is not substantial. It is a simple logo on one face of a very large building. 4, the variance will not have a negative effect on physical or environmental conditions. 5, the difficulty related to the variance was self-created, but now that delivery trucks can arrive from the south, it is logical to now add signage to the soffit that faces south. And be it further resolved that based upon the above findings, the zoning board of appeals hereby approves the variance as presented.
I'll second.
Seconded by John. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Opposed?
And Heather will abstain. And with that, the motion carries. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Have a good evening.
Have
Thank
a
you.
good day. And with that,
Mr. Chairman, I move that we,
From the audience.
Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
Oh, good.
We had
Good
a,
call.
right, sorry.
Heather, please share the comment.
Yes, so I got a text in from a homeowner asking or stating, arguing with a lawyer is like wrestling with a pig in mud. Sooner or later, you'll realize they like it.
Whoa.
It's not bad.
Would you like to know who the text was from?
Yes.
Sure.
He's in the front row of the.
why would you do that? Why would you do that?
Hey, there's 3 out of 4 people in the front row.
I think you exposed yourself, Tim.
He did.
We go again.
With that, we can close the meeting and it is 7:25.
Mhm.
Meeting
That joke is part of the official record forever.
is part of the record. Millie, I don't know if you heard it, but the end of the short meeting